Great. And sharing screen. All right. So our next Iceland trip for women travel abroad will be March 30th through April 4th, 2027. We're very excited about heading back to Iceland. We haven't been there in about 18 months,
Mm.
uh, but it is one of our favorite countries to visit. So I think it's helpful to look at a map sometimes for Iceland because we're going to a lot of different places. So just to orient you, Reykjavik is the capital, but actually the airport is out here in Keflavik. So you'll fly into Keflavik Airport and fly out of Keflavik. It's about a 45-minute drive into Reykjavik, which is where we'll be spending our first 2 nights. And we have a private transfer service that picks you up at the airport and takes you into Reykjavik, meeting us all at the hotel. Then the first 2 nights, like I said, are in Reykjavik. Then we're going to drive all the way down here to the south coast of Vik with some stops along the way, um, including here, to see some incredible waterfalls. And we will spend 1 night in Vik, and then we will again explore some of the national parks and the black sand beaches on the south coast. And then, sorry if I sneeze. And then we will make our way back to D here, which is Hyglaford. I think I probably am still mispronouncing that despite having been there. And this is where we will spend the final 2 nights of the trip, making day trips to the Golden Circle. So making a triangle like this, where we will see Thingvellir National Park as well as some other incredible landscapes and um, waterfalls. And then finally, we will make our way back. You'll have a transfer on the departure day from our hotel here out to Keflavik for your flights back to the US. So, looking at a day by day, what to expect and highlights. When we're in Reykjavik, we will do a guided city walking tour, and it's a really beautiful city. It's very compact and very walkable. We will also be visiting Iceland's National Museum, which is pictured back here, and that does a really good job of teaching you about the history, the Viking culture, and history, as well as the archaeology, the geology, how Iceland was formed as a volcanic island. So we'll do kind of the cultural tour of walking around the city as well as the museum. And then we'll also be eating at some really cute restaurants. Reykjavik has quite the food culture and scene. There's some really crazy out there things to eat, like shark, but there are also just really good, more common foods to eat and try. So we'll be eating at a few different favorite restaurants. We will do a hot springs day at the Sky Lagoon, which we like the Sky Lagoon over the Blue Lagoon for 2 reasons. One, the Blue Lagoon is further out of the city. It's actually out by the airport. So if you're staying in Reykjavik and you want to be central, you don't really want to have to drive 45 minutes to spend 3 hours at the hot springs to then have to drive another 45 minutes. And Sky Lagoon is literally 10 minutes away from our hotel. So that's amazing. It also has this incredible view out over the ocean. So it is actually a hot springs directly on like cliffs that look out over to the ocean. So it's kind of like a natural infinity pool. And it's really beautiful. The water is the same. It's all the same volcanic hot springs as the Blue Lagoon is, but it's the lesser known, but we think better hot springs experience in Reykjavik. And then we'll also see a lot of the iconic monuments. There's Rainbow Street. There's this church, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of, but it's a Lutheran church that was designed to look um, a uh the like a piano, except the thing that they have in churches, that an organ, yes. So it's built to look like an organ, which is pretty incredible. So lots of times to see all of the cool different monuments. Then as we make our way to the south coast, we will see lots of different waterfalls. Um, the Skogfoss is particularly a favorite. You can actually walk back into the cliff and see the waterfall looking out the other way. And it has rainbows that occur like 365 days a year, so you're guaranteed to see a rainbow. We'll stop and see some Icelandic horses along the way, and then we will also go to Reynsfjord, which is the black sand beach, and take a little walk along it. So it's just really beautiful nature, and the town of Vik is very cute. We spend one night there before making our way back towards Reykjavik and doing the Golden Circle. Again, lots of stops on all of our driving tour days. The highlights being Thingvellir National Park. This was us there in February, so it'll be hopefully a little warmer by the time we're there in March and April, but you never know. Iceland's weather is very unpredictable. But it is a really beautiful national park. It's actually on the tectonic plates. So you have the European and the North American tectonic plates meet in Iceland. And you can walk from one continent to the other continent, which is really cool. And then we also have lots of geysers that bubble up, kind of like you might see at Yellowstone. And then this should say waterfalls, but again, really impressive waterfalls that we get to see. So lots of nature, lots of walking. I wouldn't say it's intense hiking, but it is a pretty active tour because we're going to be doing lots of walking around the different natural landscapes and parks. In terms of where we stay at three boutique hotels: Exeter Hotel in Reykjavik, Hotel Cry, which is in Vic, and then finally the Greenhouse Hotel, which is kind of at that halfway point between Reykjavik and Vic, and is, I think, one of the coolest hotels because it's literally built as a greenhouse inside, and so it's like the whole thing is just decorated with plants, which is pretty cool. In terms of FAQs, the lows at March and April will be 20s to 30s, the highs maybe reaching the mid 40s. Weather is very unpredictable. It can be three seasons in a single day. So you want to make sure you're packing layers and you want to make sure you're packing things that can deal with rain and snow. It is also a very good time of year for spotting the northern lights. So if you go too early in the winter, say between like December and February, the sky is very cloudy that time of year, so you don't get as much of the solar activity. But March and April are really good times. The nights are still very long and dark. This Iceland is a place that experiences midnight sun. So during the summer, they have almost 24 hours of complete sunlight. During the winter, they have almost 24 hours of complete darkness. April and May, sorry, March and April, we will have probably around 13 to 14 hours of darkness. The rest of the time is daylight, but it means that between the hours of like 9 p.m. and 2 a.m., there can be really incredible northern lights. And so each night we do northern lights hunting, which is if you're up for it, we will send a message and say, hey, the northern lights are happening, and we'll go outside and we'll watch them. If it is something where they're not happening, the hosts will, not text you to wake you up, and you can sort of share your expectation or desire with the trip host. So if you're someone who like really has to see the northern lights, awesome, amazing. We'll make sure we knock on your door and make sure that you get out to come and see them. If on the other hand, you're like, hey, this isn't that important to me, you can just sleep. But we do work with our local guide and our host to make sure that we try to spot them. Can't always guarantee it. We don't know what the weather is going to be like or the solar activity, but April is a high solar activity month. In terms of the activity level, it's going to be a lot of walking tours with uneven terrain, natural landscapes, potentially icy or wet paths. So we do want to make sure people feel comfortable walking 3 to 4 miles unassisted over the course of the day. You don't have to be walking fast. It's not, competition. We can go at whatever pace people feel comfortable, but you are going to be on your feet a lot walking around. The other important piece is, as of right now, there is no visa for US and Canadian citizens to visit Iceland, which is part of the EU. However, the expectation is that by the end of 2026, starting for 2027, there will be an e-visa process. This should be very simple. It'll be less than 20 US dollars and something that you can fill out on your phone or computer. Um, if you register for the trip, you'll get detailed instructions on how to get that visa, but this would be something that is changing for 2027. And then finally, the trip price is 6,345 USD in single occupancy. That includes all your hotels, your own private room at each hotel. It includes all of your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. You can order a la carte off the menus, whatever you want. We also include all of your airport transfers and private transportation throughout, as well as a guide, plus one to two WTA trip hosts who accompany the group. And then finally, taxes, tips, anything like that is included. What is not included is your international airfare. So to and from the Keflavik KEF, which is the international airport in Iceland, as well as any personal spending money and travel insurance. So, a few of our favorite photos from past Iceland trips, and I will stop sharing and happy to take any questions.
Hmm.
None?
Is it just me?
There's
Oh,
one other person.
another.
Well,
Okay.
Diego's our trip host, and then there's one other person on the line. But happy to take questions if you have them. If not, no worries. We will send out a recording of this as well as a link to register for the trip if you're interested. And we are running a early bird special for all of our 2027 trips. So the first four people to register on any trip get $500 off the purchase price. We have already sold three of four spots of the early bird price on Iceland, but there is one spot left with that discount. It's kind of first come, first serve. Otherwise, the registration can all be done on our website if you're interested. So happy to send a follow-up email with all that, and you can reach out if you have questions. But otherwise, yeah, wishing you a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
Yep,
Great
absolutely.
presentation. I'm looking
Thanks.
forward
All
to
right.
it.
Have a good night.
Okay.